do. And what do you like about this one?
Yeah, Dallas Cowboys signed T. Higgins. What a step from Hembo here. The best year, arguably, in Dak Prescott's career is when he had Amari Cooper as the number 2, 37 touchdown passes in 2021. Everyone is taking CeeDee Lamb away. Boy, if you could bookend him with T. Higgins, that changes the entire complexion of this offense.
There are going to be so many suitors for T. Higgins, and Dallas should absolutely be one of those, especially like you said a moment ago, CeeDee Lamb. He's kind of a one-man wolf pack out there. You need to pair him up with someone with Dallas, who they believe, Dak at least, that they're close. More on that later. Let's bring in Harry. Harry, your reaction to the mic drop of T. Higgins in Dallas.
So I actually like that move. That's the true definition of Jerry Jones in 2024 saying all in. Now, we haven't seen that from Jerry. Does he have the kahunas to actually pull the strings and bring in a wide receiver that can be the 1B to CeeDee Lamb's 1A? That would be very, very good for Dak Prescott and also this offensive system. I still believe that they need to focus on the run game and become a balanced attack. But when you have two guys that can win one-on-one on the outside, it's going to be hell trying to stop that combo.
You see Jeff Darlington there. We'll get with him in a minute. We want to stick with the Cowboys and Dak Prescott. He had this to say about the Super Bowl champion Eagles and how close his team is to catching up with the champs.
With the Eagles and beat them for the most part. When we played them, I don't want to say check the record when they're the guys holding the trophy right now. So credit to them. They've earned it and they deserved it by all means. But, yeah, very close, especially when you even watch the NFC game, the NFC Championship. And those two teams that we battle against each and every year a couple of times. And as I said, feel confident about we've gotten the better part each and every time. To see it in such a dominating fashion, credit to them. It's our turn and it's on us.
All right, so gentlemen, not only did he go close, he went very close, Harry. So your thoughts on Dak saying they're very close?
See, that's what happens in Dallas, right? When you have an owner, Jerry Jones, who's consistently talking it to the media, making headlines, you become delusional just by association and hanging around Jerry Jones. Because that's delusion, exactly what I'm hearing from Dak Prescott. Not the first part, but the last part, saying that they're very, very close. This is a football team, y'all, who was 27th in rushing and 29th in stopping the run. Why is that significant? Well, two teams in your division, the Washington Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles, they're second and third in running the football. So how are you close to them if you can't, number one, A, stop the run, number two, you're not balanced offensively, and you can't run the football? It makes no sense to me.
So, Darlington, do you agree or disagree with him being delusional in his comments?
I do not think he's delusional, and I'm not trying to be like just huge support for what Dak Prescott is saying. They have so far to go in terms of this offseason. What I will say is, like, I don't mind. I'm not so offended by these comments from the standpoint that 1 year ago, if you were to talk about a coach that's in question and a quarterback where we're wondering about his potential, we would point to the Philadelphia Eagles. You can come a very long way in a year. And again, what did the Eagles do? They signed Saquon Barkley. They did go all in. The Cowboys need to make moves like that. But I'm not, if Jalen Hurts had said this exact same thing 1 year ago today, we would have been like, he's delusional. They just had an epic meltdown. There is no chance that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl this coming season. And here we are. Teams can change. That is the beauty of the league. I don't find this to be offensive or, quite frankly, delusional. If not, maybe slightly whimsical.
The only thing that I would combat with that,
so,
that would combat with that is the Eagles. Go ahead, Harry.
Yeah, here's the thing, though, Jeff. Like, sometimes you got to throw away your rearview mirror. We're not talking about a year ago. We're talking about right now. And right now, the Washington Commanders are a better football team with a ton of cap space. Right, with a ton of cap space. There's so much more that the Dallas Cowboys have to do. When you look at Adiki Zua, he's a free agent. DeMarcus Lawrence is a free agent. Zach Martin is a free agent. Their one running back that they did have that had a little bit of success, Rico Dotto, he's a free agent. You also, when you look at this Dallas Cowboys football team from a cap perspective, you're in the bottom half of the NFL. So there are a lot of components that comes to this football team being close to winning an NFL championship. And let me also add this, Jeff. January 1996 was the last time this team even been to an NFC championship game. The Washington Commanders with a head coach that newly just came in, the Commanders with a new quarterback and a new general manager came in and made an NFC championship game. But one thing we do know is that the general manager in Philadelphia and the general manager in Washington is way different from the general manager in Dallas.
Mike T, get in there.
Yeah, so look, I do think they're a lot closer to the bottom of the division than the top of the division. And, Jeff, here's where I would push back. When you look at the economics of what we're talking about, Dak Prescott, who's going to be 32, been hurt two of the last 3 years, he's going to be, right now, his cap number is approaching $90 million. He's making $60 million a year. And then when you look at Jaden Daniels, he's at $9 million a year. So, look, they'll reduce Dak Prescott's cap number, but there is a massive difference right now in the economics of those three quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts is roughly at $20 million. So, how, in my opinion, how is Dallas going to improve themselves when they just have to get their own house in order, where Jaden Daniels, to me, is younger, better, and roughly $50 million a year cheaper? So when we look at these three teams 6 months from now, I think you're going to see a discernible difference between where Washington and Dallas.
Well, and there's two parts, too, when we were saying this about the Eagles a year ago. There's two big differences there. One, the Eagles were just coming off a Super Bowl the year prior. They lose to the Chiefs. They made the playoffs, and that at end of season collapse. The Cowboys haven't been close to sniffing that kind of success, regular season, offseason, postseason.
So, Dak looks at it, though. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. Dak looks at it and says, in the past 2 years, when I'm playing in the game, a big if, because he has had injury issues, they're 3-1 against the Commanders and the Eagles in the last 2 years. So they are 1-3 when he is not playing in the game. No, hold on. We're talking about the Commanders. I was talking to Magic Johnson during one of their games in the playoffs this year when he said, I didn't think that we would get to this point as soon as we did. Washington did not expect the turnaround that they saw this year. The Eagles, we can talk about it, but we fired Nick Sirianni earlier this season. All I'm saying is, I hear you. I understand the uphill climb that the Cowboys have. I'm just saying within their own division, there are two examples of teams that flip the switch in 1 year's time. I don't think it is that egregious or delusional for the starting quarterback of the team to have that type of optimism.
Like quick.
Yeah, all I would say is when you need a right guard, a right tackle who gave up 14 sacks, a running back who's a free agent, an interior defensive tackle,
get him.
Off the ball middle linebacker, where's all that coming from?
Yeah. By the way, Magic Johnson, Darlington, turn around and pick up that name you just dropped. It's literally, it's right behind your chair.
He's a co-owner.
Matt Berry back with you on Get Up, a game we like to call Drop the Mic. Mike Tannenbaum gives us 3 moves you'd like to see this offseason. All right, go ahead and drop yourself, Mike.
All right, Matt. First one, the Lions trade for Myles Garrett. Coming down the stretch, Detroit really had a lot of injuries, and they really started rushing the passer, even though they got Zadarius Smith, Aiden Hutchinson coming back. For Detroit to get to where they want to go, beat San Francisco, Philadelphia, Green Bay, Minnesota, they're going to have to be much more consistent and need more depth to rush the passer. Myles Garrett would be ideal, Matt.
Not a bad mic drop to start off with. You have another trade in mind. What's the other one?
Yeah, Chargers trade for Deebo Samuel right down the California highway. When you look at where the Chargers are, they hit on Lab McConkey. Quentin Johnson really hasn't worked out. You go back a year ago, they moved on from Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. If Justin Herbert's going to get to where he can go, which I think is a superstar, they need.
Cowboys fan, let's be real. Outside of CeeDee Lamb, who truly scares defenses in this receiving core? Michael Gallup hasn't been the same since his injury, and Brandon Cooks had his moments, but he's not a game changer anymore. Remember when Amari Cooper arrived in Dallas and instantly transformed the offense? That's exactly the kind of impact T. Higgins could bring. A big-bodied, reliable target who can take pressure off Lamb and open up the field for Dak Prescott. Imagine an offense where defenses can't just double-team CeeDee. That's a game changer. But do the Cowboys have the guts to make a move like this? That's the real question. What do you think? Do the Cowboys need another elite receiver, or should they focus on other positions? Vote in the poll and let me know in the comments. That brings us to the real issue, Jerry Jones. We've seen him talk big before, but when was the last time he truly went all in on a blockbuster move? He had Amari Cooper and let him go. He watched other teams make aggressive trades while the Cowboys played it safe. So here's the $1 million question. Does Jerry have the guts to pull off a trade for T. Higgins? Because adding him wouldn't just be about getting another weapon. It would be a statement, a sign that the Cowboys are done sitting back and are finally serious about competing with the NFC's best. But does Higgins even fit into the Cowboys' vision for a more explosive offense? And more importantly, is Jerry willing to pay the price? If you were in his shoes, would you go all in for Higgins? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Dak Prescott recently said the Cowboys are really close to competing with the elite of the NFC. But let's be real for a second. Are we really that close? Sure, we've got a solid defense and a top receiver in CeeDee Lamb. But when you look at the Eagles and the 49ers, they have complete rosters, stacked offenses and defenses. That's the kind of team the Cowboys need to beat if they want to make a deep playoff run. And don't forget about the Commanders, who are making strides with a solid defense and some strong offensive pieces. So, how do the Cowboys stack up? Is Dak Prescott's optimism enough to bridge the gap between Dallas and these NFC powerhouses? What do you think? Are the Cowboys really that close, or is there more work to do? Vote in our poll and let us know your thoughts. Bringing in T. Higgins sounds amazing, but let's talk about the elephant in the room, his contract. Higgins! is looking for a massive payday, and the Cowboys already have big financial decisions to make. CeeDee Lamb is due for a huge extension, Micah Parsons will demand top dollar soon, and let's not forget Dak Prescott's contract situation. If Dallas trades for Higgins, they'd not only have to give up valuable draft capital, but also commit to paying him like a true WR1. Can the Cowboys really afford that? The Eagles and 49ers have found ways to manipulate the cap and build complete rosters. Can Dallas do the same? So here's the big question. Would you be willing to sacrifice other areas of the team to land Higgins? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's see how Cowboys Nation feels about this move. Adding T. Higgins would be a huge boost. But is it really the missing piece for a championship run? Dallas has bigger concerns beyond just another receiver. The offensive line is aging, with Zach Martin's future uncertain. The defensive front could also take a hit, especially if DeMarcus Lawrence isn't around much longer. And then there's the biggest question of all, Dak Prescott. If the Cowboys go all in on Higgins, does that mean they're fully committed to Dak long term? Or would it just be delaying a bigger decision? This isn't just about getting better, it's about staying competitive in the long run. So if you were in charge, where would you invest first? Wide receiver, offensive line, defense, or maybe even a new quarterback? Vote in the poll and tell us why in the comments. So, after everything we've covered, does this trade truly make sense? Or is it just another off-season fantasy? T. Higgins would undoubtedly upgrade the offense, but it all comes down to whether Jerry Jones is willing to take the risk. Cowboys fans have been waiting for that one move to push this team over the top. But is this the right one? Or are there bigger priorities? If you were in Jerry's shoes, would you make the trade for T. Higgins? Drop your answer in the comments, yes or no, and tell us why.